Hey guys, it's Jet888 here. It's May 20th. I'm going to kind of review something that I went over last week, May 15th. This is my Rumble account, and I did a quick little kind of a follow-up of this also on the YouTube account. I think that same day. But I'm going to go through a couple things regarding this whole baby formula fiasco. So I showed a lot of situations where the baby formula was unavailable, out of stock, and it was very expensive in sometimes some other instances. And here I was even showing how there is one formula I checked for price and it said $47.99 and all of a sudden it changed to $281.94. But anyhow, everywhere I looked, it was unavailable. The Similac was available, however, but for some reason that was the exact company, the one that was available, that was being recalled by the FDA. And here I was showing the Similac and how there's baby shortages. And you can go look at this, but it was just talking about the factory where the infant formula was recalled because two babies had died. And this company was Similac, that was made by Abbott Labs. And it was weird because I went to this look at their site, and all of a sudden they showed a bat. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? This is their little ad. Anyhow, I'll leave you the link so you can go see this. And the babies that died, there were two of them that died, two were hospitalized, at least from what we know, and they died of septicemia, which I showed was also something found in snakes. And it was caused by this newly renamed thing. They called it Chronobacter sakazaki. It was a newly renamed bacteria. So they changed it from that. So I guess that this wasn't scary enough for people, but that name fit the agenda better or something. So from the briefing room at the White House here, President Biden announces additional steps to address infant formula shortages. This was May 12th, 2022. And they mention how Abbott Nutrition voluntarily recalls infant formula is safe and effective. No, available. Oh, I thought it was safe and effective, this one. Okay, so safe and available. So they say it's safe and available for families across the country, but yet when I looked, everything was sold out. In that last video, you'll see that. So Walmart, Target, Ricket, and Gerber are all discussing ways we can all work together. There we go. We're all working together collectively. Good job, you little robots. Speaking of robots, here robot-equipped beehives at an Israeli kibbutz aim to reduce mortality rates as bee species worldwide face an increasing threat of decline. Wow, get in line. This article is May 18th. Robot hives in Israel kibbutz. Is that how you say it? Hope to keep bees buzzing. Great. I guess we can all relate. So on February 17th, the largest infant formula manufacturer in the country, Abbott Nutrition, initiated a voluntary recall of several lines of powdered formula. This came after concerns about bacterial contamination at Abbott's Sturgis, Michigan facility after four infants fell ill and two died. Now look at this. The federal government, including the FDA, so Federal Food and Drug Administration, Department of Agriculture, Department of Justice, Department of Transportation, U.S. Trade Representatives, USTR, and Department of Homeland Security, DHS, along with Department of Commerce and the White House has worked diligently over the last few months to address the shortfall of infant formula. Um, Interesting. Where's the WHO in all this? Oh, so very cool. The red tape is getting cut to get more infant formula to store shelves quicker, so they're going to save the day. So Nestle says it's flying emergency baby formula supplies to US. Interesting from the Daily Beast. So Nestle is sending supplies of Gerber baby formula from the Netherlands to help save the day. Bloomberg even says baby formula shortage in US. Nestle starts airlifting infant food. Market Watch. Nestle rushes shipments of baby formula from Netherlands. Who else was at the Netherlands? Peter Pan is. Oh, that's the Neverland though. So here we get Nestle to save the day. But the panic starts. Read, it's pure panic. Florida parents of twins spent more than 4 hours driving to find baby formula. And with the cost of gas nowadays, you know how expensive this baby formula is getting? And Biden's saying there's nothing more urgent we're working on than that right now. And it's funny because it says, also read, just breastfeed. Won't fix the baby formula shortage. Here's why. So it's updated May 14th here. Viral conversations on Twitter and TikTok. Wow, that's interesting because we can't seem to talk about anything that we want to. But anyhow, the viral conversations on Twitter and TikTok address misconceptions about how we fed babies before commercial formula. How did the mothers do it? And the breastfeeding barriers many women still face. And of course, you got the Getty image there, but it says the baby formula shortage has had some people asking what mothers did before commercial formula. They struggled, one historian explains. And I tell you, if you let the history get rewritten the way they're rewriting this stuff, this is exactly what people are going to start thinking and believing that nothing happens naturally. You know, of course it's all supplied by the monopolies and global disruptors. So their response to just breastfeed is if only it were that simple. Well, before the economy made it so women and mothers had to go to work because things are so expensive and they try to destroy the family unit, putting women under working conditions, which actually leads to a lot of stress if you're trying to breastfeed. And of course, the World Health Organization gets involved. Oh, but of course, you have to have lactation experts. A mom and her boob isn't enough. And the WHO says, and for reasons why many women can't breastfeed or choose not to are complex and nuanced, not to mention babies separated from their birth mothers or the fathers at home with children who might not have access to breast milk. Oh my God. Well, that's interesting because this man gave birth to a baby. See, we don't need women. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with this. See, happens. And it's so funny because you have men who they identify as a woman so they can go into a woman's prison, no problem. See, they can identify as a woman and be arrested, and that's believed. See, that's okay. Lawful to imprison trans women, sex offenders in female jails. But here's Kaiser. They refuse cut and paste religious exemption claims from anti-vax sites. I guess you have to cut and paste different parts of your body. It can't be for religious reasons. Thanks, Kaiser Pfizer. I wonder if Kaiser would deny a trans person's belief, you know, if them being a male or female, or is it only if it's religious? Will they deny what you believe? Who knows? Anyhow, wombs for men. Well, if you can have a baby, I'm sure you could breastfeed them. Breastfeeding is not free, tweeted researcher and gender bias expert Amy Dahl. It's time intensive and laborious. It requires access to paid parental leave, protection for employees who nurse to access both a feeding room and time to pump, and breastfeeding education and free lactation consultants. So she's kind of bitching that you need access to a feeding room. But this is okay. We can have an extra, you know, bathroom for all three of us now. That's okay. Yeah, so we'll go out of our way to accommodate the all whichever way you go rooms because one's natural and one's not. So they're trying to demonize things that are totally natural. Oh, and also speaking of unnatural, in that document, that unauthorized storage of toxins, it was a state senate committee hearing. I've given this link a lot of times, but I'll place it again. In it, I showed when they're talking about toxic agents. This is a 1975 document where they were talking about all kinds of toxins, shellfish toxins, cobra venoms. I covered all this and the side effects and how similar they are to the things that are going on now, the symptoms anyhow, and how these poisons were stored, even though they should have been dumped according to the president's directions. And they're talking about laboratory storage of these poisons. And between the conversations between the chairman and Mr. Colby, the chairman mentioned that these poisons are not going to be used, but the only way that they could be used is for purely experimental laboratories and experimentations. So, experimental laboratories and experimental purposes, which I'm wondering regarding experimental purposes, I'm kind of wondering if these are experiments, these jabs, and what do they have in common? Women, babies, jabs. The CDC has been following thousands of pregnant women who receive this jab since early winter through the V-Safe pregnancy registry. Wow, so that's interesting. So, speaking of experimental purposes, sorry, I was throwing this in here too because I was reading this today. I haven't gotten through it all, but um, I noticed the V on this, and the link is about genocide. Well, supposedly genocide prevention. The documents, atrocity, crimes. I'll leave the link. But back to my thought on what the experimental purposes. You know how they've come up with the Roe versus Wade recently? They're re-looking at all this. It kind of makes me look like Roe as in ROW, like Roe v. Wade, or like sink or swim, row your boat. But Roe versus Wade, if you look at the anagrams, it's row to wave or redo wave or ER overdue, like ER overdue. And here it says Roe v. Wade, 410 U.S. 113, was a landmark decision of the U.S. Supreme Court in which the court ruled that the Constitution of the United States protects a pregnant woman's liberty to choose to have an abortion without excessive government restriction. So it seems strange to me that they're suddenly kind of re-bringing this up, but it just made me wonder if all those shots, all those shots that the women are taking during their pregnancy, if they are the incubators for some of these science experiments. I'm just wondering. So when you think about that, and maybe that's why the creators of these shots don't want these women to be able to get rid of their science experiments. Um, when you look at number 410 as part of this Roe versus Wade, 410 U.S. 113, you know me, I look at the gematria of this. So 410 is ritual and I. It's also the baby. And it's also is the beast. Is the beast. Like what's being incubated in these little transhuman people. So is the beast isn't in the database, but guess what? It is now, and guess what? Metaverse is the beast also, but metaverse is also serve meat. And it's also pestilence. Isn't that weird? Days of Noah. But 410 is all of this. Ritual is going to be biblical, financial crisis, apparition, the baby is all 410. It's also I am the devil. And guess what they're trying to incubate? I mean, there's articles out here other people are questioning this too, I guess, when they show these little black-eyed guys. So people are asking this question because guess what? If they have all of these little transhumans, or everyone who's been jabbied is no longer truly human, it kind of makes me wonder if the Messiah, if they're trying to block the Messiah, the final Messiah will be a normal human being born of human parents. It is thus possible that he is already born. Yeah, but if he takes a jabby, he's no longer going to be available to be the Messiah. At least that's what I'm wondering. So here, the pharmaceutical company Moderna did say it's an operating system, but they're talking about their mRNA jab. And I mean, I saw it, I went to the page. Now they're saying it's not a literal one. How does this person know? How does this little fact checker know that they didn't mean it's an operating system? But if you're an operating system, you're no longer human. So I'm wondering if all the mothers who start realizing that they might be having little transhuman babies might want to get rid of the science experiments and getting rid of the little beast. I don't know. They might be stopped from doing that. But Leslie also, Leslie, who's making these baby formulas, calling it Gerber, um, they are. It's good they're not GMO. But so there's Leslie, Nestle, I mean. And they are putting some interesting things in the baby formula. And there have been studies questioning the use of this. They call it arachidonic acid here, or ARA. Where part of the study was funded by Mochida. It's a Japanese pharmaceutical company. And here they have a Biocom California. It shows all their partners. And guess what? They're also partnered with Abbott Laboratories. And there's another little study that says heart arachidonic acid is uniquely sensitive to dietary arachidonic acid in domestic piglets. They've done a little study on that. So they found that it affects the heart and brain levels of this natural arachidonic acid. So here's an interesting article, The Scandal of Infant Formula by Weston A. Price Foundation, May 19th, 2021. He says DHA is found primarily in fish and fish oil, but anyhow, he talks about synthetic DHA is now added to baby formula. ARA, arachidonic acid, is a polyunsaturated fatty acid naturally synthesized by the body. And here, this article, A Poor Replacement for Mother's Milk, talking about infant formula. And here it's written experimentation on human infants. I'll leave you the link to this. Can you imagine this though? If you're a little baby and you're not even getting your mother's breast milk and your mother's had the experimental jab, what must be happening? And here's an article that's out May 19th, 2022, remembering the Nestle baby formula scandal that rocked the 70s. Remember, we have such short attention spans, they can do it all over again. It was talking about Nestle saleswomen dressed up as nurses to counsel the mothers about breastfeeding formulas. Babies started getting having issues because the mothers would water down the formula. Nestle hooked mothers and babies through free samples. There you go. And what's interesting, I was reading this a long time ago. Nestle writes, Nestle's food brings health and strength because it's not so nearly like it's so nearly like mother's milk, especially in the teething time. Look out for cow's milk. Cow's milk is meant for calves with four stomachs. Cow's milk that, for all you know, comes from sick cows and unsanitary dairies. Cow's milk that may bring sickness and even consumption, that's cancer, to your child. Oh, so they did use cow's milk, but theirs was special. So they said their cow's milk was purified. It probably means they pasteurized it, which actually made it a dead food. So this says WHO and UNICEF traced infant fatalities to baby formula. So way back here, with concern about the health of infants in developing countries. Of course, they always go to developing countries. The WHO and the United Nations Children's Fund began to compile data, ta-da. Oh yeah, speaking of, so they're keeping records. They're starting to say that babies born with COVID antibodies from moms who were vaccinated, they're very happy with their baby who doesn't seem to move. I've seen that before. No one moves. But look, on the daddy's shirt says Ryan. Now, why would that have to be there? But Ryan, who is the father, 521, Ryan is 521, and so is Monster Maker. It's also German, Black Operations, Baby Girl, Satanist, and Science. And they happen to name their little baby girl Kate. Kate is a Greek's name, and Kate means pure, but she's not. I mean, she might be innocent because she's a baby, so of course she's innocent, but pure, I don't know. And Reese Saunders, that was the mother's name. Her anagram is serenade users, like they're trying to talk these women who are pregnant into getting the jab. So you want to talk about little nursery rhymes? Mary had a little lamb, and that could be anagrammed to lab admit lethal army. So there's a lot more to this, but I'm going to stop it here because we're going too long. But World Health Organization, World Lethal Organization. Okay, guys, wrapping it up here. We'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.